Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've accumulated so many books recently that I thought it was time to do my first official book haul. Now I have hauled some of these in recent vlogs, so some of this will be a little repetitive, but some of these I've never even shown in videos, so hopefully you still enjoy even if you've watched some of my recent vlogs. But I go thrifting a lot and I find a lot of my books thrifting, especially like my old paperbacks. So some of those you may have already seen in vlogs, and I apologize. But this is definitely an accumulation of books over the past weeks on weeks on weeks from thrifting, Goodwill, used bookstore, the book outlet had a sale, and also I've purchased a couple from Barnes & Noble as well. So I just thought it was time to sit down and do a whole book haul with you guys because I have enough books accumulated to do so. But I do have 50 plus books here to show you guys and briefly talk about, so let's get to it. Most of my books are from thrifting, so we're gonna start with them. First of all, I fell down a Michael Crichton book hole, I guess you could say, with my friend. We went thrifting together one day and she was collecting some of them. I did mention this in one of my vlogs that I am looking into a lot of pirate books, and this was one of them on my radar. Previously looked into pirate books and this one just kept being recommended or kept popping up, and I was like, I need to read this book. I've never read any Michael Crichton. I've of course have seen the Jurassic Park movies, but I've never even read them, and I really want to. But I actually got these three in a set at one thrift store. So I have Prey, Timeline, and then the Pirates Latitudes. And I'm gonna try to get to all of them. I definitely want to taste test his, writing style and see what I think. My friend seems to really enjoy his work. She collected quite a few of his that day. And then at another thrift store the same day, I happened across these two hardbacks, which I think I paid $3 for this one, and then for this one, $3 as well. Yeah, so $3 for each of them. And they're in such good condition that I was like, I have to. And I just love the covers so much. So this is State of Fear. And then this is The Lost World, the second to Jurassic Park. So I did end up grabbing Jurassic Park, and that is in here somewhere at a Goodwill, but it's a paperback. So I'm still on the hunt for Jurassic Park in this hardback style. I really want matching books. I'm trying to not be too picky with matching things, but if it's a series or a set, I kind of want them to match as much as possible. But yeah, I do want to get to these really soon. I just love this cover so much, and just wanting to read his books in general. I'm going to have to do a vlog, a dedicated vlog, or 3 books by Michael Crichton or something. Okay, I think that's all of them that I got. I also found this really cool E.T. A novel that's based on the screenplay, so I thought that was really cool, and I think I got it for the tag is kind of ripped a little bit of the cover, unfortunately, but I think I got it for 25 or 50 cents. It was insane how cheap it was. So I thought it was really cool, and I love old paperbacks like this, even ones that are based off movies. One of my favorites is my paperback of The Lost Boys. So kind of going off of that, I found this really cool Frankenstein book. The inside is not as intriguing as the cover. While I do find stuff like this interesting, and who knows, maybe one of these days I will get a wild hair and be like, I want to read this book, see what it's all about. But 650 pages, I'm not so sure. It is a pretty beefy one. But I overall just really loved the cover and aesthetic for it being even decorations. Maybe putting it on a shelf, just as decor. I think it's really cool. That is also where these come into play. I found these old show books based off of older shows. There's a couple that I'm actually thinking about. I will do a Pango books or something, or take them to a used bookstore. They're not in the best condition ever, but they're just kind of ones that I didn't necessarily have to have, so they just kind of came all in a set So I had to get all of them. Although I do think that the covers are really cool though. And I do like this back on this one, the horse. But these two are what I really wanted to be able to put on display, the Invaders and the Munsters. I just think it's so cool and definitely goes with the vibe that I have going on in my office space. So yeah, I think they're really cool covers. I picked up the first in the James Patterson Alex Cross series. I'm not really sure why. My mom collects these, so she has like all of them, and I have a few of hers on my shelf that I'm borrowing that I need to get back into. But I just happened to see this one at a flea market for $1, so I was like, I'm just gonna pick it up. I knew it was the first one, and I have read this one, and I do like this series, so I wanted to have a copy at least of the first one. But who knows, maybe I will eventually start collecting them as well. I feel like I see James Patterson everywhere, so it's just such a doable series to be able to collect. I also found this cool, another one based off of a TV or movie or whatever, Mr. Monk Goes to the Firehouse. It's another one that I'm like, I maybe would try it out and see, but it is like huge print. And I don't know. I just think it's kind of like funny to have. I grew up, oh, I love the like hard back actual like spine. I grew up watching Monk. I loved the show so much. I think it's where I kind of get my love for the forensic side of things, or like my true crime love of just wanting to look into so many cases and be kind of like a armchair detective in a way. I think my love stems from this show, and I still, every once in a while, I'll get a wild hair and we'll turn it on and watch a couple episodes. I love the cases so much and the twist of the show and everything, even though, like, at this point I know all of them. So it's not really that big of a shock or surprise to me anymore. But as a kid, it really was. I found this beautiful Alice Hoffman cover of At Risk. This is another one of hers I haven't read. Beautiful. But I will definitely try it out because I absolutely love Alice Hoffman. I think she is an incredible writer, and I always just fall in love reading her books. I'm just like in awe of her writing. It's so beautiful, and I have such a good time. I'm still currently working my way through the Practical Magic series. I went back and I've read like the 2 prequels, and now I want to read Practical Magic again because it's been a minute and I miss it so much. And then I'm going to read her newest one from that series that came out that I think kind of wraps up the series, but I will definitely get to this at some point. I just think it's such a pretty cover though. I also found this really cool nonfiction on Lizzie Borden. That like true crime side of me is coming back out with this purchase. This is The Legend, the Truth, the Final Chapter, and it goes through, it's really cool find. It goes through the whole story, the trial, everybody involved. I could definitely see myself reading this because I know the case like front to back, but I feel like I could again just lose myself and deep dive into Lizzie Borden. Give Lizzie Borden another week of my life. One of my biggest steals at the thrift store was I went with my pawpaw and I found this booth that had just a ton of Nicholas Sparks. And I don't really read Nicholas Sparks anymore. It's been years, let me tell you. But I do have a few of his from back in the day. I read his books more so back in the day on my Kindle. I feel like that was when I got my Kindle. I was obsessed with Kindle. So if I go and pull it out, I know that I have many on there. My physical books I have, I think I got The Wedding not that long ago at a yard sale. But The Choice and At First Sight I've had for years. It is just, you know, little paperbacks. That's literally all I have in my collection of his books. And I've been wanting to like do a video or like a week of just reading books that I read back then. And there's something about his writing and his stories that I think I'm gonna absolutely love it because I loved it then. I feel like it's going to be very nostalgic for me. And although it's not really the typical book I would reach to or absolutely love now, like 5-star reads for me or anything like that, I I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited. I found each of these Nicholas Sparks books for $1 each, so I had to jump on it. I'm like, regardless if I read any of his work soon or not, this is such a steal. Like, I have to get them now. Some of them are hardbacks and just all of them are really nice condition. So I have See Me, which I want to say is one of his newer ones. Okay, 2015, maybe not. It's been so long since I've read any of his. But I finally have a copy of A Walk to Remember, and I love this cover so much. I also have a physical copy. I know I have the Notebook on my Kindle, but a physical copy of the Notebook, but it is the movie. Oh my goodness. A Bend in the Road. I've read this one as well. I've read the Notebook. I've read A Walk to Remember. I've not read See Me, though. The Last Song. This is also a hardback and is in really good shape. I have read this. Safe Haven. I have read this one as well, and I remember liking it. The Best of Me, I can't remember if I read this one or not. The cover is so familiar. Let me see what year it was. 2011. I'm pretty sure I read this one. I was always caught up with his books, I feel like. The Longest Ride. I don't know if I read this one or not. I want to say this was like at the cusp of me not reading that much anymore. I think it came out the year also that I had my first kid. So my reading kind of went out the window for a little while there. But Dear John, I loved that one. But I just thought it was such a steal. That many, all $1 each. I was like, I've got to. To continue on with thrift finds, I have added 3 more books to my Stephen King collection, thrifting wise. I found Sleeping Beauties. This was written with Owen King as well. A pretty decent paperback of this one. I was excited to find this. I love that cover. I also picked up The Dead Zone. It was one of the next in like chronological order of his writing that I didn't have a copy of, so I picked it up. First time thrifting that I have found The Outsider, so I was super excited. I hate those like, oh, it drives me insane when it's like, it's not like an actual sticker that you can just peel off. Like, I don't like those either. Like, put them on the back. But the ones that you can't take off drive me insane. But it was a thrift find, and it's in pretty decent shape for being a paperback, and it is still a newer-ish book, but I'm so excited now. I think with this one and then a couple that I've got from the book outlet sale, I have the Holly books. So The Outsider, If It Bleeds, Holly. I now just have to get the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, and I will have all the books with Holly Givney, so I'm really excited. I was just super stoked to find this at a thrift store. Like, I've looked for it. Back when I was gonna read it, or when I wanted to read it, and it was the next one in the series for me, I looked and looked and looked and could not find this. So I have read it, and I do really love that whole series, but I'm excited to have copies of them now. Still in the realm of thrifting, I do have a few that I picked up from Goodwills. I went to 3 different Goodwills. Yeah. I've traveled a little bit recently, so I found a copy of Little Women. It's not my favorite copy ever. I definitely want like a really good like hardback, maybe the illustration one, or at least one of the editions with illustrations in them, because as you guys know, if you guys seen my video with Little Women, I fell in love with my library's book and just wanted to steal it. It was so beautiful. I did take it back. But I did want to have this copy, and I seen it there, and I was like, I can't pass it up. I want to have a copy of it. I also got Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. It is paperback as well, but I'm wanting to read some of Anne Rice soon, so I went ahead and grabbed it. Then at the next Goodwill I went to, I actually found some newer-ish books, which I thought was really cool. Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen and The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. Really excited for these. I heard so much about this one when it came out, so I kind of knew a little bit about it. This one I had no idea, but I did remember seeing the cover and it just looked so much newer, but I was reading the synopsis on it in there and I was like, this is really cool. If you knew the date of your death, how would you live your life? I seen that and I automatically was just like, okay, I want to read this. I want to see what it's like. I think it'll be a good one. I definitely gonna have to plan it for when I'm in the mood for that type of read, because I know it's gonna be a little bit more like literary and heart-wrenching and all of those things. As well as this one, Anxious People. I really wanted to read from Frederick Bachman. Is it Bachman? It was another one of his that I kept seeing that I really wanted to read and try out. I think it was a series, if I'm not mistaken. So I haven't read anything from him yet, but I seen this one and I was like, I'm just gonna grab it and try it out. It is in a little bit rougher condition. There's some stains on it. I also was flipping through and seeing some annotations, so that will just be very entertaining for me. Another classic, Great Gatsby. Another paperback, but I was excited to find another like classic for whatever I'm wanting to dabble more into that, and I definitely want to read this one. I also found a copy of Every Summer After, which I read it last summer and absolutely loved this book so much. But it's kind of like a love-hate relationship because I hated the trope so much that's in it, that I've had such a hard time with this book. And even being able to recommend it, because I'm like, I don't want to recommend this to people, but I can't lie. I fell in love with these people so much, and the story in general, author tore me up. And my copy of Jurassic Park, it is in pretty rough shape. It actually looks so much better than what it did when I found it. This one at Goodwill I went to had like four huge bookshelves filled with books, but this one was just its side and there's books stacked and piled all over it that it was just completely bent. So I've been trying to stack heavy books on it to try to like get it a little bit bent back, but like I said, I'm still on the mission to get a hardback that matches my Lost World edition. Moving along now, so I went to a used bookstore that's about an hour and a half away from me for the first time. And the first time I went, I found 3 books, and then the second time I went, I only picked up 1. I found this really cool edition of Firestarter by Stephen King. This was actually the cover that I really wanted, and if you know me, you know I love paperback Stephen King so much, so another Stephen King edition. But I also found Disappearance at Devil's Rock, Paul Tremblay. This is one of his I haven't read. I definitely have been trying to buy a variety of books. I want books that I haven't read, of course, but I'm trying to build up my library collection of books that I have read also that I really, really loved, that I just haven't had a chance to buy yet. But I seen this, it was the only Paul Tremblay they had there, and I was like, I've got to get it. And it was $5, and in really great shape. It was 2016, so yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. I read quite a few from him last year, so I've fallen in love with his work. I also got a copy of The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. My sister just gave me her book set of The Darker Shade of Magic, so this is kind of like a continuation, but also a new story at the same time. So I'm super excited to have all of them, and as soon as I finish the series, I'll be able to jump into this one. And I also picked up The Chalkman from C.J. Tudor. I was back and forth on it because this wasn't my all-time favorite from her, but I did still enjoy it. I really want to get The Drift, maybe even The Other People. While I was out of town, I did stop at a Barnes & Noble. They have their like buy one get one 50% off, so I did pick up a couple. I actually went in with the mindset of like, I'm really wanting to thrift a lot of my books or buy from used bookshops or Pango books, different things like that, to buy books from other book lovers, buy them secondhand. But I was like, there's 2 books I keep looking for on Pango books, on Thrift Books, and looking around for, and I cannot find, and they're 2 of my favorites now. First one, Monstrilio, I've been looking for a lot longer. I absolutely love this book, and I wanted a copy of it so bad, so I did cave and grab this at Barnes & Noble, and it was the very last one they had. But I also picked up Brahms' Slewfoot because I just read this in January, and I fell in love. I had to have a copy of it. I just love it so much. I definitely want to read more from Brahm as well, but I'm so excited to have these 2 of my favorite books now. that I've read more recently. This was my favorite book of last year, and this one might be my favorite book that I've read this year. Moving on to my book outlet order, they were doing their $5.99 sale. I got quite a few, you guys. First of all, let's talk Shauna Maguire. I was torn, you guys. Whenever they were doing the sale, these were the only 3 of her books from the series that she had, or that they had on the site. So this is the Be Sure. This is the Wayward Children series that I've talked about. But this is book 1 through 3. And I didn't know how I felt about that because I want all of them so bad. But I was so torn, and I went back and forth on it. I was like, you're going to kick yourself because you're going to end up wanting each of them by themselves. So I picked up this one, 1 through 3, and then these 2. So, this one isn't the newest one, but I want to say this was the one that came out last year, and then this one might have been the year before that. If I'm not mistaken, there might have been one in between this one and this one. I haven't got there in the series yet. I've only made it to book 4. So I have read all of these, and I've really, really loved them. I'm kind of kicking myself already because I think I'm going to want each of them individually, but I just thought this cover was so stunning. It has like all the doors and stuff, and if you know the series, it's just so pretty. And even the back has like different types of doors and stuff. It's so cool that, I don't know. I think for the first 3, I'm okay with having them like this. But I do like how each one of the covers are so different because they're off of different, or they're from different worlds. That's the only reason I think I'm going to be kind of bummed that the first 3 are packed together. And the second book has been my favorite still so far. So I feel like I'm going to want a copy of that one because the cover's really cool for it. But we'll see. For now, I am content, and I'm just going to keep it like this for now and hopefully get the other ones. These were, like I said, the only 3. If all of them were on there, I would have grabbed them. Like I mentioned before, I grabbed some that I've read and that I really enjoyed because I am trying to build up my library of books that I've already read and that I love. So I had to grab Stephen Graham Jones' My Heart as a Chainsaw. I loved this so much. I definitely want to get the other ones from that series. I grabbed Fairy Tale from Stephen King, as well as the other books from Holly Gibney's story. If It Bleeds, this is 4 short stories, and one of them is Holly Gibney's story, and then his newest one, Holly, was on there. So I was so excited to get this one at that price point, and it's hardback. I was ecstatic to see this one. But I have read this one, and I really loved it. I love Holly Gibney. I'm a huge fan. Like I mentioned too, my Practical Magic, I have been collecting them. I want all of them so bad. I was able to get Magic Lessons, which is the first book in the whole series. If you go like chronological order of the Owens, it's the first prequel because Practical Magic did come out first. And then they had the Book of Magic, which is the last book in the series. So I grabbed it as well. I also grabbed Alice Hoffman's The Invisible Hour. This is her newest book, and I really wanted to read it. The cover is stunning. And then these last 3 were just kind of ones that I was adding in my cart last minute and just being like, should I get them? Should I not? And I just ended up buying them. Leech, I've wanted to read for so long, and I love the cover of it. So I was like, I'm just gonna buy it. Everybody tells me it's super weird and you need to probably read it more than once anyways to really fully grasp everything going on, so why not? Goblin, which is a novel in 6 novellas by Josh Malerman. I'm wanting to read more from Josh Malerman. I loved Daphne, so I'm excited to have another kind of like anthology-ish type of read. Maybe spend a week reading it. And then Katrina Ward, Looking Glass Sound. I've heard really mixed things about this, but I've had it on my TBR for over a year now, so I thought I should just grab it. Lastly, you guys, I've been here forever. Lastly, I made a Pango book order because, like I said, I'm rereading the Practical Magic books, and I didn't have a copy of this, and I freaking love this cover so much. This is one of the book of the months, but I don't care. I just really loved the boot cover, so it was perfect. So now I have all of them but the second prequel. Need to find it still. And then I also picked up a copy of Divine Rivals because I have Ruthless Vows and hardback, but I didn't have Divine Rivals. So now I have both of them and I'm content. I'm really I loved this one. I still haven't got to Ruthless Vows like I said I was going to. I will definitely be shopping more shops on Pango for sure. This one sent me these really cute stickers and also this reading list bookmark. And says, Allison, congrats on your new books. Enjoy. So sweet. That is a wrap on my book haul. I got so many books. I feel like I've been sitting here forever. But honestly, they've been sitting here and I've needed to put them in the shelves as much of them as I can and have everything organized because it's about to drive me insane. And there's just been a lot going on. So now I'm going to be able to put them all up and hopefully read as many of them as I can soon. Thank you guys for joining me for this book haul. Let me know what you've hauled recently, and I will see you in my next video.
Sorry about that text you got, I didn't ever mean to send it, so you got me in my feelings.